Hey F1 fans, on today's episode we're going to be talking about the Alpine team, but before we do, let's roll the intro.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Jumpstart F1 podcast. I'm James,
I'm Grayson,
I'm Dan,
and I'm Son.
and let's roll the pod. Hi everyone.
My bad.
Hi everyone, and welcome back. Okay, so today's episode, we want to discuss the Alpine F1 team, which everybody should be familiar with. If not, we'll go into a bit more detail. Now, I don't want to just. Well, we are going to sit here and discuss our thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But there are some key moments during the course of Miami Grand Prix that I think, if we were looking hard enough, we would have seen that the writing was on the wall.
Looking more into it, but then we weren't really looking much into it.
Yeah, like I think one of the biggest gotchas, really. Gotchas, is that a word? Gotchas?
I don't think that's a word. I think
biggest gotchas. So I think one of the biggest giveaways. That's a better word. One of the biggest,
real one.
Yeah. One of the biggest giveaways, I think, was that the Netflix TV cameras were following Doohan and the Alpine team around extremely closely.
Yeah, like trying to see that every move, really.
Yeah, like everywhere Doohan went, Netflix were there. Everywhere Alpine went, like in their motorhome, Netflix were there. Is it because they knew something was coming, or do you think it's because, as Alpine said last year, Doohan has 6 races to prove himself?
Yeah, I do remember that they were saying that he has races to prove himself.
Yeah,
I thought Colapinto would be a Williams backup driver. That's what I thought.
Oh, so he was at Williams. So let's just play catch up for somebody.
Yeah.
So, so he was at Williams.
Yeah.
But obviously, Williams had already signed Sainz for the seat, so he had no future in a seat.
Yeah.
And Williams agreed a fee for Alpine to buy him. I think they've actually sort of leased him out for 5 years. Actually, I don't really know the full contract details. Because, as James Vowles said, it provides the best opportunity for Franco Colapinto to get into a racing seat, whether that's this year or next.
Yeah, to prove himself, basically.
Yeah, because Williams aren't able to provide it, but I think Colapinto's an interesting talent.
Yeah.
So anyway. Let's get into it. Anyway, I think the writing was on the wall. I think if we were looking hard enough and we watched Netflix covering and following like a fly around a beep, then
I don't know what beep means. He just said that.
And then well, I couldn't say the word that I wanted to say.
So. I think I know what he wanted to say. Yeah.
So basically, Netflix was following Alpine and doing around like a fly around the cow's ass. That's what I wanted to say, and I guess as I always tick the box not to put this to kids, we can get away with that.
I mean, I don't know.
Anyway, I've said it.
Yeah.
So
I've said it now.
I think there's a few things that's led up to this weekend, and I've got mixed emotions about it.
Yeah.
Because I think Doohan was starting to improve.
Yeah. He at the start of the season, he was a bit low down, but he is getting up there.
Yeah. Like, overall, out of all the rookies, Doohan has the worst stats.
Yeah.
But in Miami, he out-qualified Gasly for the first time.
Yeah.
So, and I think his pace was there, but his overall race weekend wasn't.
Yeah. It was he had a good qualifying, but he just slipped off a bit in the race.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go through. We've got a list of things we want to go through, and I've actually tried doing this twice, but we keep getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
So we want to give our steer on it. We want to give our thoughts on it, but we also want to go through some things that we've picked up recently. And it's such a shame, really. But ultimately, I think the biggest problem in the Alpine team at the minute is down to complete mismanagement, poor leadership, and a massive communication breakdown between the executive members and the actual racing team. And I think that is the reason why Oaks left.
It could have been.
Could be a number of reasons. When you think about it, Oaks doesn't have to leave for one. I think one of those is Doohan, but I think Doohan was the icing on the cake, and we'll come to that in a moment. But Oaks was pulled in as team manager, whatever they call him these days. They've all got slightly different names. But Flavio Briatore was making all the decisions. Now, Flavio Briatore, he made a decision to drop Ocon and bring in Doohan for the final race last year.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so again, let's play catch up for somebody. But
not again.
But at Abu Dhabi last year, because Ocon was already going to Haas, Flavio Briatore said basically just get out. You might as well just go there now, and dropped him and put Doohan in the car to see where he's at.
Now, did he finish that race? Just ask.
I can't remember, and I haven't got it up on the laptop. But I don't think he did terribly, to be honest. But he didn't do amazing. He was just there.
Yeah, but then again, you'd rather be there than nowhere.
Yeah, but sometimes there is kind of the worst because you're just a good F1 driver, and a good F1 driver doesn't win championships. You got to be an amazing F1 driver. But anyway, we're going down a different topic. But Flavio Briatore made that decision, and it was Oaks who then had to manage the aftermath of that decision. So he's the one who had to do all the talking with the press, and he's the one who had to back it all up. But it wasn't his decision.
No.
But he's the one who had to deal with that decision. And I think this decision now is clearly Flavio Briatore and his team, and he's made that decision to drop Doohan now after the 6th Grand Prix, because we're a quarter of the way through, and put Colapinto in, and it's Oaks again who has to manage that messaging and relationship with the press. And I think he just had enough, because I think Oaks felt that he didn't have the actual true role of a team manager. And Flavio Briatore was making all these decisions, and Oaks was the ones who had to dealt with that, whether he agreed with it or not.
I agree with that,
You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with it.
And it's such a shame because, I mean, the Renault F1 team, it's been in turmoil.
I don't know what that means.
It's been a roller coaster ride. When you think since 2021, they've had 4 or 5 team bosses, and loads of other people leave. I don't know what they're playing at. And I think it was Flavio Briatore who turned around and said 2 races ago, I think, that our viewers might know, or listeners, depending what you're watching or listening on, but I'm pretty sure Flavio turned around and said 2 Grand Prix ago that Doohan is in the car until summer. Until the summer. The halfway point when they're shut down for the summer. It's what? It's May, early May, and he swapped him after 6 Grand Prix. So I think even whatever the Alpine team say in statements and press and interviews, you got to take it with a pinch of salt, because I think Flavio Briatore is the guy who will just make a decision regardless of anything that he's previously said. Anyway, I think that's my biggest one on the issues at Alpine. That doesn't necessarily cover why Doohan was dropped. So that was just around mismanagement, poor leadership, and breakage in communication. Doohan had a tough start to his career. Because he was drafted in at Abu Dhabi last year for the last race. And he was told then he's got 6 Grand Prix to prove himself.
Yeah, so he had quite a lot of pressure on him, really.
A lot of pressure. Yeah. So he was already told he's got 6 Grand Prix to prove himself.
Yeah.
And then over the winter, Briatore brought in Colapinto from Williams and basically told Doohan that if you don't perform, Colapinto's in your seat.
Yeah.
But then Flavio Briatore's also turned around saying that Doohan's in the car till the summer.
So he's 6 races in, and now Doohan's out the car and Colapinto's in it.
Yeah. And I do kind of feel for Doohan because I think his numbers were up before he even had an opportunity. I don't think, and you think of all that pressure that basically you're driving for the team where Flavio Briatore don't even want you in the car.
Yeah.
And after your very first Grand Prix has already spent a load of money to Williams to bring your replacement in.
Yeah.
And he's just waiting you to fuck up.
Yeah.
And he's eating, Flavio Briatore is eating his popcorn on the sidelines, waiting for Doohan to do all these crashes and mishaps and all that. And he was just like, yes, this is my moment. I can replace it.
He's just waiting for him to screw up so that he has an excuse to put Colapinto in the car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that must be so mentally hard. Actually, I don't know if it was mentally hard for Doohan, but if it was me, it will be playing on my mind.
Yeah.
And it will probably affect my performance and not most importantly, your decision making.
Yeah.
And I think we saw a bit of that really bad decision making from Doohan at the Miami Grand Prix.
Yeah.
The
thing with Doohan, like, he's a good driver. It's just he had a little bit of a fluke at Miami, and now he is out of that seat because of that little fluke.
It does make you wonder if Doohan was at another team and the team boss wrapped his arm around you and says, don't worry, mate, I'll support you, and helped him mentality, help his mental thinking, supported him every foot of the ground. Would it have been a different story?
Yeah, like, would he be fighting for, like, 5th position and all that and not fighting for a point?
In that car, he probably wouldn't, but would he be fighting for points, I guess, because at no point during the 6 Grand Prix did I think Doohan's got a good chance of scoring points. Now, I think he actually did score points, but he got penalised, so he lost them. But out of all the rookies, he's the one that's looked the least because I think his racecraft is a bit not at a high level as others.
Because like Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson are doing well.
Hadjar's doing really well.
Yeah. Kimi Antonelli's doing really well.
Yeah. He is. And he deserves a little clap for that because he's and do you know what? Hadjar deserves a little clap.
Yeah, Hadjar has been doing really well, especially in that RB.
And what's even funny, we're going off topic again, but what's even funny about Hadjar is that Red Bull didn't even want him in the seat. It's just that they had nobody else to put in the seat.
So they just put him in it.
So they put him in it. They didn't talk him up to the press. They didn't say, oh, we got this guy coming in.
They didn't really care much.
Yeah. But yeah, he has been great.
Yeah.
You know.
Who was his, like, Isaac Hadjar's teammate before Lawson was there? Was it Yuki?
It was Yuki, yeah.
And them two were really good.
I did like that partnership.
That was like, and they were both up there as well.
Both up there, both there.
Yeah.
And like it's hilarious now, but this is Hadjar's first year in F1. He's 6 Grand Prix in, but I see him as the Racing Bull's #1 driver. Whether they see it the same, probably but not, Lawson, but I still.
I mean, he's been doing good in the Racing Bull car, but the thing is, he's also dropping down a bit sometimes.
Yeah, but there's that word. Good. He's just doing good.
Yeah.
Good. Anybody can do good in F1, and they stay mid-table the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, I love Kevin Magnussen. I thought it was K-Mag. You know, I thought it was great, but he was only just good.
Yeah.
You know, and you just float around the mid-teens. You know, certain teams, especially like Red Bull, they don't want good.
They want great.
They want great. They want the Lewis Hamilton. They want the Max Verstappen. They want the
Norris.
The Norris, the Piastri, the Russell. You know, it's
those type of people, and not like I see why Liam Lawson wasn't doing well, because there's a big step up from an F2 car to especially a Red Bull F1 car. So I see why he didn't do well, but 20th.
And do not getting back onto Alpine F1.
Yeah.
I do give them some credit because Doohan had 1 race last year, 6 this year.
Yeah.
So he had 7 races before being swapped. Lawson had 2. So
he didn't even get like 19th. It was 20th in both of them.
I don't know if there's going to be a competition between these guys on who swaps drivers the quickest. But at the minute, if Red Bull is winning, Red Bull is winning for swapping a driver the quickest after 2 Grand Prix, and they're also winning by paying Perez's contract off to replace him with the guy that they swapped after 2 Grand Prix.
I bet Perez is laughing.
Man. I don't think it's confirmed. I think it's rumoured, man, and I hope it's really, really true. But I think what I've heard is that he has signed for Cadillac for next year.
That would be I think the best team for Cadillac would be Perez and Bottas.
I would put Bottas there, but it depends if Bottas wants to leave Mercedes. Now he's back in there now. I know he's not a driver, but out of the experience, I find it hard to say. I find it hard to say because I love Daniel Ricciardo the most.
Yeah.
But I only love it for his banter and his smiles.
Yeah.
But he dropped off a long time ago.
Yeah, it was like 2020.
Yeah, and every time you hear him on the radio, he's like, "Oh, so sorry, guys, I just wasn't good enough." You're like, if you're a new team, I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to say, guys, the rear suspension is crap. We need to change it. I would, and I think Bottas and Perez can do that.
Yeah.
But at Miami Grand Prix, but at the Miami Grand Prix, Mick Schumacher was at the Cadillac event.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I do not want him back.
So are they thinking of a experienced driver of Sergio Perez? And can you call Mick a rookie? You can't call him a rookie. He's 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But put in a young gun in there, you just call him a young gun of Mick Schumacher. Now, I would like Mick to have a second opportunity, but the only way I could see why Cadillac would put Mick in there is because of his name.
Yeah. Like, it is quite a famous name.
Yeah.
But he wasn't quite a famous driver because he wasn't doing well.
No, but he'll be paying off the weight from his surname, which could potentially bring in key eyes and sponsorship for Cadillac.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's two we're going off topic again. There's meant to be Alpine, but there's 2 new teams coming next year, Cadillac and Audi. And what an amazing time to come in, because it's brand new regulations next year. New cars, new engines. Nobody knows where anybody is going to be.
No.
So what a great year to come in, because you can't turn around and say, "Oh, Audi's going to be at the back and Cadillac's going to be at the back." They could be mid-table if other teams mess it up, and especially if the Mercedes power engine is losing power on the straight and Ford engine is meant to be 10 to 20 miles per hour slower. Like, who knows where they'll be? You
never know. They could be fighting for points. They could be fighting for not last place.
Yeah.
You never know with these teams. But let's get back to Alpine because we're going off topic.
We do go off topic. But actually, I kind of like this.
Yeah,
actually.
This is just like talking about what we go on to.
Yeah,
and not just what we have planned. I like that.
And I actually feel more comfortable and relaxed here.
Especially because we're not shouting into the phone.
Yeah, because we're holding our little Christmas cracker microphones. This is our first pod episode with these. So
we're calling it an episode now.
Yeah, we're calling it an episode.
Yeah, of course. Yesterday when we were testing these, I basically said to you, do we call it an episode or a pod? Because they're on a podcast, but they're called episodes.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that for a few minutes, and then we just called it an episode.
And Lewis Hamilton's little toe.
Not this. That is when we were testing these. Every time we tested it, he would go on about that.
Probably should look out. We'll cut that out. Can't leave that in. Nobody wants to know about Lewis Hamilton's little toe.
No. And you just said it again.
Damn it! We'll cut that bit out.
And that way it might leave it. Because that was funny.
Right, where did we get to? I don't even know what time we started this, but we're
19 minutes.
19 minutes in, right? No more than half an hour. So,
We need to get back on topic.
Doohan, Miami Grand Prix. A few things popped up to me about Doohan, and I think that's when the cracks started to appear.
Yeah.
And I think he probably knew deep down this could be the race.
Yeah.
He probably felt really crappy because of all the Netflix cameras following him around everywhere.
Yeah.
Plus all the press asking the questions. Is this the race? Is this the race?
Yeah, like that's a lot of pressure.
It is. And with that, when they were releasing Gasly and Doohan into the pit lane, it's a very narrow pit lane, but Doohan went wide and was about to go into the wall. His pit crew had to pull him back.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So he can then go. And by doing that, he lost a couple of places in the pit lane of where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
But he blamed Gasly being released at the same time. But the team looked back at the video and the Gasly release didn't actually impede Doohan.
Yeah.
So it comes across as a Doohan mistake.
Yeah, like his own mistake.
But I think what also made it worse is that Doohan made it very vocal on the radio and blamed the team for setting him up.
Yeah. Like trying to get him to make a mistake.
Yeah, and I think that comes from stress and pressure. And I think that's when he was feeling it. And when he was in the paddock, he started speaking to his dad. Now, he probably made the rookie error because he started speaking to his dad about it without going into their
garage.
Not show home. Oh my God. My mind's gone blank.
I know what you're on about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into their headquarters. Oh my God, my mind's gone blank. Into their house. Let's just call it that.
Their house, yeah.
But they had the conversation outside with the Netflix cameras looking, and all you saw was this boom microphone appear up, trying to hear what the conversation is. And then Oliver Oates comes over, basically has a very polite telling off, and told him to get in there, shut up, and don't have a radio message like that again.
Yeah.
And I think that was the start of the cracks. Then he had a good qualifying, but outdoing Gasly, and then another crap race. And
the race, I don't think was it. The race, I don't know if it was his fault or not. Like Then again, he could have went a bit wider on that first corner.
Yeah. But again, I think it's the pressure.
Yeah.
You know, does he just hold back and hold position and just have an okay race, or has he got to prove himself why he should be in that seat? And when you've got to prove yourself and you're under that pressure, you've got to take risks.
And then risks can lead to crashes and DNFs and all that.
Bad decisions and all that
Corner
stuff.
cutting,
you know, like I think Norris is under pressure.
Yeah.
And he made a bad decision because he knew the McLaren was faster than Max Verstappen. Yeah. He knew eventually he would get past. So as he clearly knew that Max is probably going to run me off here because that's what Max does. Now I don't think it was on purpose, because I think if you watch the replay, Max had a wobble, which pushed him out. But even if he had the wobble or not, he's going to have something like that in mind.
Yeah, honestly, if you don't think that, then why would you not?
Exactly, and I think Piastri's a bit smarter here, because I think Piastri would have backed off, let Max through, keep hold of second, and then pass him a couple laps later.
Yeah, with DRS, which would have made it a bit easier.
But Norris wouldn't back out. And then he went off track, fell back to 6th.
Yeah, went to 6th and then went up to 2nd.
And then had to come all the way back. And I think that's the difference between Piastri and Norris. I think Piastri's racecraft and decision-making is a bit sharper.
Yeah.
Norris is the overall fastest one. But being the fastest driver doesn't always win you the championship if you're making mistakes. And trying to line this up to what we were saying before, I think Norris makes certain mistakes because he's under pressure, because he knows he's got a very steady, reliable, as I call him, Piastri's Mr. Calm, Cool and Collective.
Yeah.
And Doohan, I think, because he's under pressure and that, he makes the mistakes.
Yeah.
But I feel for him.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad because, like, he isn't a bad driver, that's the thing. But he isn't getting up there. And that's what I think Alpine are expecting.
I have heard that Doohan, and time checking, 24. I have heard that Doohan was actually told Sunday before leaving a track that he was being replaced.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if there's any linkage. And I do think that camera has dropped because my head seems to be so close to the top. Maybe if I move down a little bit. I'm pretty sure the camera is moving. 1 second, cooler.
Okay, yeah, that's better. Because I was thinking, because I was sitting up here and I was almost at the top. So I was like...
So I heard that Doohan was told Sunday before leaving the track. And then on Tuesday, Oaks resigns.
Yeah.
Are the two linked?
It was Oliver Gates that resigned.
Oliver Oaks.
Oh, I thought it was Oliver. I thought his name was Oliver Gates.
When you say Gates, that reminds me of the National Treasure film of Gates of Nicolas Cage. Good film.
He's just going on about films now. This
is not a film podcast, but that's a good film.
Podcast. Yeah. I mean, it starts with the same letter, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, so Oaks resigns Tuesday. Make that of your will. Is it interlinked? I think yes. Is it solely why Oaks resigned? No. Was it the icing on the cake? Yes. Because again, Oaks didn't make that decision.
No.
And I think Oaks preferred Doohan over Colapinto.
Yeah.
And I think because of all the other decisions that have been made by Flavio Briatore, and I think Oaks has got fed up. Look, I'm meant to be the team boss. These decisions are being made without me being included. But I'm the one who then got to explain it all to the press.
Yeah, like deal with it without you guys there.
Yeah.
Like, you're making a decision, so why should I be here?
Yeah. So I think the team's in turmoil. I think it's a great opportunity for Colapinto.
Yeah.
They've said it for 5 races. I personally don't see Doohan coming back on the grid, especially with Alpine.
I hope he does, but I just don't think he will.
No, I don't think he will, unfortunately. I think Colapinto, he's got 3 Grand Prix and we go to Europe. He knows the Europe tracks.
Yeah.
All he's got to do really is crash less and score 1 point. And
he's probably going to stay at Alpine.
Yeah.
If he scores higher than 1 point, I think he's guaranteed to get that seat.
Yeah, yeah. And let's face it, Flavio Briatore, Doohan was never Flavio's choice.
No.
He was put there before Flavio was brought back. But when as soon as Flavio come in, he brought in Colapinto. So Pinto is his choice. So Pinto is the driver that he's going to back.
Yeah.
And he's just been waiting to get him in that car.
He's just waiting for the right opportunity.
Yeah.
The right excuse and everything, really.
Yeah. Like they've said he's got 5 races. I think he's there to the season. What do you think?
What, Colapinto or Doohan there to the season?
Colapinto in the car to the end of the season.
I think if he does like score points and not really have many mistakes, I think he is guaranteed that seat. But I would really love to see it. At least Doohan get to the end of the season at least.
Yeah.
Like that would be really good for him. In my opinion.
Yeah. It's hard. I don't see a way back unless it goes absolute Pete Tong.
I hope he crashes.
Yeah,
Get Doohan back in.
Tell you what, instead of saying Pete Tong, why don't we say, unless it's a complete car crash, you know?
Worst pun ever.
unless Colapinto has a complete car crash at it because he feels the pressure.
Yeah.
Then I don't see Doohan coming back. And I can't remember the name of the other reserve driver that Alpine have.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know.
I want to say Jordan King, but I don't think that's right.
King.
But he's meant to be pretty quick as well.
Yeah.
So maybe Colapinto is in there for 5 races. Maybe they test the other one for 5 races.
And see who has done the best and put them in the seat.
Because I'm guessing out of all this testing and swapping every 5 races, they're assessing their pool of drivers for next year for the 2026 rule changes.
Yeah. And I agree with that.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay.
What do you say? Except you're welcome.
Now.
That's cool. I said half an hour.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we've done quite. We've gone through what we wanted to cover.
Yeah. And more than what we did want to cover, like
with a couple of sidetracks, and I think that's good because that's the beauty, the beauty, the beauty of a podcast.
Yeah,
you just go off on a tantrum and start waffling about other things, and in your mind they all interlink with what you're saying.
But people probably think you're just waffling about random stuff.
So we probably have to explain more why things are interlinked. Well, when I went off on Norris.
Yeah,
I turned around and said the reason why I went on Norris is because I feel like he's under pressure making bad decisions in his racecraft, and was doing.
Yeah, I'll see where that interlocks.
Yeah.
And then where did we go on to? Where was what else did we get onto apart from Alpine?
Quite a few bits, to be honest.
Yeah, but not too much to remember.
Anyway, we do need to wrap it up. Let us know your thoughts on the situation. Do you think Alpine are going to swap them over in 5 races Grand Prix? Do you think Doohan will be back on the grid, whether that's with Alpine or somebody else? Or do you think Colapinto is there until the end of the season? And by the way, if you leave a comment about how our camera just keeps sliding down, we already know.
Yeah.
And we will try and fix that for the next episode. I nearly said pod.
Yep, it's
episode because we only got one pod.
Yeah,
with multiple episodes.
Yeah, that's what I suggested yesterday. Yeah. Okay, we should end it now. Yeah.
Anyway, please like, please share, please comment,
please subscribe. Don't forget that.
And we'll see you on what is the next episode?
One we're gonna do next.
Where's going? Smarty. Next episode is our preview of Imola.
Yeah, so we'll see you on our preview of Imola.
And I love Imola because it's such an oldie. Because I'm an oldie, I've been a fan since the 90s. Imola is an oldie. Imola is a classic track, and I can't wait to preview that.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned. Watch out for the next episode. If you like this one, please like, please comment, please subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode, and we're going to roll the outro.
Yep. Okay, F1 fans, thank you for tuning in with us today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more weekly podcasts. And if you're on YouTube Music, don't forget to save it to your library, and we'll see you on the next pod.